19 We moved much faster than before because I was trying to keep up with the flashes of silver and gray fur ahead. The shape of the wolf was a blur, and I really began to wonder if it was even there, or if I was too tired to distinguish a wishful daydream from reality. Maybe we hadn't gobbled up blueberries after all, but something else, some kind of psychedelic berry. When we got out of the forest, my recharged camera would tell me if I'd even seen the wolf at all. But we'd heard howling the night before. I knew wolves lived in the forest. That I was following the trail of a real, live gray wolf was a less bizarre explanation than that I was chasing a hallucination through the forest. Until, suddenly, it disappeared into the pines. We stopped beside the stream, which flowed much wider and faster at this spot. I was glad we hadn't abandoned it. Looking at the water, I licked my lips. I felt so thirsty, but still afraid to drink from the stream. I saw a maple leaf on the ground and picked it up. 3 raindrops rested on top of it. Desperate, I licked them. Then I scanned the forest again, searching for a bit of silver gray amid all the tawny cedar bark and fir green. Our wolf friend was gone. I picked up another maple leaf, this one with 4 drops. Lick this, I said. Alex did so without question. Where are we? Alex mumbled through a yawn. Her lips were even more swollen, which hardly seemed possible. She tilted backward, then caught herself by slamming her palm onto a nearby tree trunk. Now that we were standing still, I felt woozy too. While we'd been walking fast, I'd been able to ignore the dizziness, the hunger, the thirst, and the worry. And the cloud of tiny flying insects surrounding us. Alone in the woods, again, I finally answered. I closed my eyes, unsure what to do. The wind in the trees was back to making that waterfall sound. Except, the breeze had died. The air was still. The noise continued, louder and stronger than our burbling stream. It sounded like the river. Do you hear that? I asked Alex. I wanted to make sure I wasn't imagining it. I still couldn't see which direction the sound was coming from. Like a waterfall, she murmured, trying to lick her lips. Yeah. Follow me. We continued farther downstream, stumbling over rocks and logs and around trees, fiddlehead ferns tickling our limbs. One branch almost impaled me after I bent to adjust the cover-up booty still tightly knotted around my foot and then stood up without making sure nothing was in the way. The rushing water sound grew louder, really loud, like we actually were approaching a set of falls. And then, through the trees, I caught sight of sunlight glinting on the surface of water. I brought my hand to my mouth, stifling a yelp of joy. I didn't want to jinx it. I didn't want this to be a mirage. Just ahead, our stubborn little stream tumbled over a formation of smooth rocks, flowing into a frothy river the color of root beer. That doesn't mean it's dirty. Sometimes the water takes on that hint of reddish color in the Northwoods because tannins from cedar trees seep into the water. I didn't know for sure that it was the wolf we'd found, but it was definitely some big Northwoods river. Not one that would fade away. Tears welled at the corners of my eyes. I glanced back at the forest, searching the trees for any movement. In a way, the wolf had helped us get here. I made my decision to keep on following the stream because of it. So I looked at the wolf on the sweatshirt Alex was wearing. Thank you, I mouthed. Are we there yet? Alex asked, dropping to a seat next to me near the edge of a rocky outcropping above the water. Well, we found the river. Or a river, I self-corrected. Great. Wait here, them find us. She lay down flat on the rocks, then turned to press her face against the cool slab of stone. Her skin and lips must have felt as fiery and angry as they looked. The rash had spread farther across her legs, and all the sores either oozed or crusted. I studied my own limbs, covered in bites, cuts, and ticks. One flip-flop and one foot wrapped in formerly light coral fabric, now the color of red mud. We were still in the middle of nowhere. How often would people pass by? We weren't near a trail or anything, as far as I could tell. It could be minutes before someone floated along or, I supposed, days. Let's rest for a while. See if anyone comes downstream. I sat next to Alex, spreading the inner tube out behind us. If only it didn't have that tear, we could blow it up to float to safety on our own. I ran my finger over the damaged part. It didn't need much to be patched, a generous square of duct tape would do the trick. But we didn't have that. If only pine pitch would work. It was certainly good at keeping leaves and needles stuck in my hair. Alex handed me the dry bag, a handful of berries still inside. I grabbed a few. We'd been okay since eating them this morning, assuming the wolf wasn't a hallucination, so they were safe. I needed more food. My stomach was back to feeling hollow, my muscles weak. We ate the berries slowly. Normally, when I pile blueberries into my breakfast bowl, I gobble them by the spoonful, paying no attention as my molars mash them up. I mean, who sits at the breakfast table and really contemplates the blueberry? Now, each berry was like a precious jewel. I would put one in my mouth, rolling my tongue around it, feeling the plumpness and the texture, eagerly anticipating the burst of flavor when I finally allowed it between my teeth to bite open. After the explosion on my tongue, I would chew maybe 30 times, until it was just blueberry juice I held in my mouth, before I would finally swallow. Then, repeat. It could take you half an hour to eat 10 blueberries if you savored them that way. Alex ate just as slowly, methodically. When she turned to face me, her eyes were clearer. The blueberries had restored her, or maybe it was the thrill of finally finding our way out of the woods. If I could time travel, I would go back to the version of me sitting at the table at Paul Bunyan's, and I would eat a freaking donut. I would eat it so hard. I laughed, spraying a bit of the precious blueberry mash out of my mouth, which was really a shame. Yeah, that seems like an entirely reasonable time travel choice. I paused. I'd go back to Walden, registration day. I don't know. I guess I'd wear something different. My face flushed as I said it. I doubt Alex could tell I was blushing though, considering how dirty my cheeks were. She hugged her arms to her chest, rubbing the thin fabric of the sweatshirt. Don't be stupid. I mean, I guess it's obvious that, it took her a long time to say the words. A little embarrassed. Because it's important to me to look good. It gives me confidence. But what happened that day wasn't your fault. Or what happened the rest of the summer? She stopped, fiddling with the stalk of a maidenhair fern. I just got caught up in being Laura's friend. Honestly, Jocelyn, I really do like spending time with her. We're interested in a lot of the same stuff, and she's actually super generous, and also hilarious. She paused again. I know that's weird for you, so I feel bad saying it, but it's the truth. It is kind of weird. The you who is friends with her, Lexi, is different from the you who's friends with me, Alex. They're both me. I'm not, having a split personality. But you've changed, I said. Even when you're not around Laura, you act different than you used to. So do you? I mean, we're all just figuring it out. Who we are, and who we want to be. Alex sighed. I'm sorry if I hurt you. I think I needed to push you away a little bit to know who I am. But also to know that I do still want to be your friend. It's just, I want other friends too. She was quiet for a moment. Do you think that could be okay? For so long, we'd been Team Alexalyn, a dynamic duo that didn't allow much room for anyone else. Not even shared friends like Hoa and Kate. If I were being completely honest, I didn't really want Team Alexalyn to change. But it already had. So now rather than clinging to a ghost version of our best friendship, what I wanted was to still be friends, even if we weren't exactly best anymore. Yeah, I think it could be okay. I paused because my voice was rising with emotion and I had to swallow it back down. I'd like that. There was one big blueberry left in the bag. It's yours, Alex said. I shook my head. No, you take it. You're probably still dehydrated from puking. She rolled her eyes, which, honestly, was reassuringly normal behavior. Don't be ridiculous, Joss. I'd been Jocelyn to her since registration day. It felt good to hear her use my nickname again. She plucked the berry out, put it between her teeth, and bit it cleanly in half, one of which she held out for me. Sorry, kind of gross, but what can you do? I laughed and popped it into my mouth, thinking of the day that she and Laura had shared the dish of frozen custard at Michael's. This wasn't gross. It was friendship. We waited on the rocks, watching the river, 4 hours. Long enough for the blueberry fuel to run out and for us both to start shivering again, as the sun inched from directly overhead toward the tree line. The only creatures we'd seen in or around the river had been some birds, sparrows, and a couple of turkey vultures I briefly misidentified, they're nicknamed tourist eagles for a reason, and one shy white-tailed deer, stopping for a drink. Most fishermen like to go out in the morning. Kayakers and canoers too. The odds of someone passing by were getting slimmer. Maybe we should walk downriver, I suggested. At least to where we're level with the water's edge. Alex startled, she'd drifted into sleep again. Then she nodded. We gathered our things and began climbing down the rock ledge. The surfaces were slippery, and my arms and legs all felt rubbery and weak. My fingertips trembled as I gripped lichen-covered stones to steady myself. Alex was going first, focused on stepping carefully from stone to stone and looking away from me. Hey, Alex, I called, when I noticed that the strap of her tote bag was sliding toward the edge of her shoulder. If she stopped, I could readjust it. When she heard me, she looked up in my direction while still moving forward. And that's when one of my slippery water shoes slid on a mossy boulder, and she fell. It wasn't from a big distance, and it was more of a slow crumple than a fall, but she still landed hard. I heard something, hopefully her tote bag, thwack the rock surface. Followed by her shouting in pain. Alex. My single flip-flop flapped against the stones as I scrambled to reach her side. Are you okay? I bumped my head, she said, reaching for it. Already her temple was red. At least it wasn't bleeding. But head injuries can be really dangerous even if they don't bleed. Open your eyes wide. She did, and her pupils looked okay. But hey, get wonky right awa yi if you have a concussion? Do you see stars, or anything? No, it's daytime. I sucked in a breath. In your vision, because you hit your head. Oh. Nope. She paused. I whacked my knee too. Can you still move okay? I don't know, she said through gritted teeth. Help me up. I grabbed her elbow to lift her up from the rocks. She could stand at least. Try taking a step. She bent her knee, wincing, and moved forward to put her weight on that foot. She winced again, then took another step. It hurts a lot. I bit at my lip. Do you think you can keep walking downriver? She put her hand on her forehead, like she had a headache. Not very far. She sank back down. We were trapped. Again. I threw the rolled-up tube against the rocks. I'm so sick of dragging that useless thing around. If only it didn't have a stupid tear, we could tube our way back to civilization. But no. I kicked at it. Instead, we're doomed. Alex stared at the tube. She blinked. Wait. Her tone sounded almost excited. She pulled her tote in front of herself and dug around inside. I could hear her unzipping one of the interior pockets. Whatever her hand landed on made a huge smile spread across her face, despite the obvious pain that a smile caused her cracked lips. This. She held out a thin and glossy square of paper. Except it wasn't paper, it was a sticker. A bumper sticker with a picture of a howling wolf in front of a moon, a lot like the one on my sweatshirt. Printed below was, "I Wisconsin Wolves. Thanks." I was really confused. A head injury making HR give this to me right now? At Paul Bunyan's, when I was wandering around trying to find cell service or a Wi-Fi network, I saw it and thought it was so you, and I was still feeling super bad and guilty about stuff, so I bought it and put it in my bag. I guess it was going to be, like, an olive branch. This time, I couldn't fight back the tears welling in my eyes. Thought it was so you. The sticker was, and I loved it, and it felt so good that Alex had wanted to get it for me. Alex still knew me, she accepted me, and she still cared. That meant the world. I blinked, and tears ran down my cheeks, but I didn't mind that she was seeing me cry. That's really nice. Alex began crying a little too. So yeah, I don't know why I was waiting to give it to you, but now is clearly the perfect time. Sniffling, I started to unzip my backpack to put the sticker inside for safekeeping. What are you doing? Alex asked. I stopped, confused. Making sure I don't lose it? She started to roll her eyes, until she winced and stopped. Her head must have really hurt. It's for the tube, Joss. A patch. So we can float the heck out of here.